Welcome into Lion Pride Sports. Here with you, I'm Andrew Rogers for another Coach's Show, and we are first being joined by the Lindenwood men's basketball coach, Coach Randall. Coach, thanks for joining us.
Glad to be here, Andrew.
And Coach, in your fourth year, and what I want to cover here first is let's go back to the early games in November when we were in Anaheim, and then lead up to where we are today, and then preview the MIAA a little bit. But first, the question I have for you is, you're off a long road trip back from Louisville, Kentucky after a game in Bellarmine. Talk about that quick turnaround.
That turnaround? Well, we got back about 1 a.m. last night, so yeah, it was. It's part of it. It's part of Division II basketball. You're on a bus. You're grinding it out at times. You got to get up and answer the bell in the morning.
Well, let's go back to Anaheim now. Get away from this cold weather a little bit and say, let's go back to 80 degrees. Sun is shining, and the first game was against Azusa Pacific, and the guys really shaped up well to open up the year.
Yeah, Azusa Pacific had been receiving votes in the top 25, and they were picked second in that league. And they made the NCAA tournament last year, won a game, had a lot back, and I thought we had a really good second half. We got out in transition on them, ended up turning that game around. They run a very difficult matchup zone with a shot blocker in the middle, and for an early season game, they'd also been to Taiwan in the summer, so they had another advantage of having 10 extra practices and played a half a dozen games. They continued to they kept us out of the lane. We were able to get some stops, so eventually got out in transition. And then Chris King had a great second half there and hit a ton of threes and kind of got us rolling. And then the next game, West Texas A&M, number 3 in the country at the time, an elite level team for sure, elite level defensive team for certain. And we had our chances. We ended up missing a shot at the buzzer to tie that game, and then went to Embry-Riddle, who had some new guys. They have a great front line, gave us some trouble, but I thought we wore them out, and we were able to get out again in transition and get a lot of easy baskets. It really was a very successful trip for us, in many aspects. As far as it's great, I always feel, to start the season out and kind of have your guys sequestered. You're able to build some camaraderie, find a little bit about each other, and just lock into the basketball component on a pretty professional level, from one scouting report to the next, video, hotel room down to the meeting room. And I think that's important, especially when you add in some new guys so they see how we do things. From there, we went out of the frying pan into the fire, went up to Mankato State, who was a Sweet 16 team last year and was receiving votes and has been in the top 25 since. And again, missed a shot at the buzzer to tie that game. Lost by 3. Very physical game. Had a lead in the second half late and lost it on back-to-back and ones. It was difficult. It was definitely a difficult environment, I thought, up there. But we had our chances. And then St. Cloud State, the next game, I think, was 16 in one poll and number 9 in the other. And they jumped out on us early, and I don't know, at that stage we had a little competition fatigue. I didn't think we were sharp as you would expect us to be against a top 10 caliber team. But we battled it back and cut it to 5 or 6 there in the last few minutes and just didn't quite get over the hump. Yeah, and you guys were down 20 in that game at first to start the half, and then it was 26 at one point, and then all of a sudden Chandler had a career-high best day. Talk about his performance. Yeah, he was gritty there. I mean, I thought that he played physical, used a lot of his, he's got a lot of tools getting the ball to the rim, and athletically just kind of willed himself to get to the line and get to the rim. And we just, we battled. I mean, I thought we out-toughed them in the second half for certain. But sometimes when a team gets a lead, they get off the gas pedal too, and so you have that combination of that. But we played the way we want to play, and the way we dictated on both sides of the ball in that second half. And like I said, we had our chances, and just you can't dig yourself a hole against a great team. I mean, that's an Elite 8, Final Four caliber team, and we're able to cut it down the single digits and had a chance to cut it to, I think, 4 on a possession and just didn't quite finish. And already you've talked about, we talked about Bellarmine playing the number 1 team in all of Division II. We talked about West Texas A&M being a top 5 team at the time, and then St. Cloud State. What's it like knowing that you guys have the toughest schedule in all of Division II? Well, it's good because in Division II basketball, making the NCAA tournament is largely defined. It's a regional. It's a regional invitation, so it's largely defined by your strength of schedule, both in region games and then games on national schedule. So you need to build up your strength of schedule. Now you need to get some of these games, and we have. I mean, Azusa Pacific is a team that's going to Embry-Riddle. Those are teams that are going to do some damage in their leagues for certain. But just getting those games in general, and then learning from them, because as a coach, and it's just human nature, and certainly as a player, it's very easy to accept in victory what you would not accept in defeat. And so in these games where, if you make a mistake, it's thrown back at you against an elite team. Against maybe an NAI team, maybe not so much. You're able to survive that. You're able to, you made a mistake, but they missed the shot, or you made a mistake, but you still finished still scored on that possession. So that's where you're allowed to make a jump early in the season. So now what you have to balance is that it doesn't grind you to a pulp. That playing just always up for a team, every game is this level, then you got to make sure that, as I mentioned earlier, competition fatigue or travel fatigue in this case too, having 12 out of 14 away from away from Lindenwood is a lot. But I think I have a lot of expectations for these guys.
And after Mankato, do you feel like the biggest takeaway all the way from Azusa Pacific all the way to the Mankato games, do you feel like the biggest takeaway was finishing down the stretch? Well,
I think that one, you're kind of learning, every year is a new year, and you're kind of learning who your finishers are. So I think one thing, even as a coaching staff, when you have returners, guys are in new roles, and so figuring out who's your late game group, who's the guys who are going to be able to take the shots in these situations or that situation. But I think also, as a team, you got to learn that you need that separation. You can't be in, and right now we're not good enough defensively to be in a situation where we're going to get a stop, and we can survive not scoring. We have to get better defensively so that you can have separation. So in the last minute, it's not a one possession game either way. It's an 8 or 9 point game, and they're fouling you, and that's the difference. I mean, that's the difference to me between great games and then great teams and good teams. And then the other thing is, as you mentioned, finishing, having a closer on your team. So who is our closer? And I think we're still figuring that out right now, to be honest with you. Who wants the ball late game to create that play? We are offensively, we are by a group. We're not an individualistic sort of team. How we play is very unselfish, and I think maybe sometimes to a fault with that. But we're certainly going to need somebody to rise up. And I know we have some guys that have the guts to take those shots, but we also have to have the ability to create them and finish them against great competition.
And Coach, this may turn into more of a fun question over anything else, but you guys went on to take 2 teams on in Jeff City, Lane College, and Lemoyne-Owen. And Lemoyne-Owen has one of the coolest mascots I've ever. Yeah. They have the Magician as their mascot. Yeah. Out of all the teams that you faced off against, who was let's just say the coolest mascot that you got to face off against?
Oh, good question. Well, I was the head coach at Webster University many years ago. We were the Gorlock, whatever the heck that is. So that's an interesting mascot for certain. Let's see. I always loved it. We haven't played against them, but I always loved Centralia High School as the Orphans. That's just, bizarre that they can even get away with that at this stage. But that's their mascot, and that's an interesting.
Isn't the female mascot the Annies?
Yeah.
Okay. Good stuff.
So we going back to the game. So we played at Jeff City, played at Lincoln in a classic there, played 2 Division II schools, Lane and Lemoyne-Owen, who were very athletic, very good defensively, and got picked up a couple good in-region Division II wins there. And then had Missouri Baptist, who was undefeated, come into our place, NAI, Division I school, who they do a very good job there. And I thought we played really well in that game. And Culver Stockton was another NAI coming in 4-3, and we beat them handily at our place. Again, I thought we played very, very well, but the margin for error, you don't have to, as good as they are, they're not as big and physical as a Bellarmine or an Illinois State, who we played an exhibition game. And we're in a stretch here where we had 5 games in 10 days and 7 games in, I think, 13 days or something. So you're just not getting enough practice time for this team right now. Which led us to Bellarmine last night, on Wednesday night, and they number 1 in the country in both polls. I've coached against 3 national champions in Division II in the last 6 years, and they're definitely that level. There's no question. I thought we defended them as well as they scored early. They made some shots for some role player guys. They had a couple guys who made shots, and that's what great teams do. They have really good players that you don't recognize behind their starters. That gives them that depth. But I was disappointed in how we handled their pressure on the offensive side. I just felt that they got out of sorts. We've been an excellent ball handling team. We turned the ball over uncharacteristically for us, and we just struggled to get shots. And again, much like West Texas A&M, they are long, 6'8", 6'7", 6'7", 6'5", and some of our guards had trouble shooting over there, and we got in the lane having trouble finishing the play. But more than that, I thought that mentally they got us out of things. So that's why, again, why you play those games is that you're preparing for playing the Northwest Missouri States and playing the Central Missouri, playing those atmospheres, playing that high-level competition in league play, as well as garnering the strength of schedule points.
And now let's do a quick preview of the MIAA. So the first road trip, or the first games, I should say, against Missouri Western and Northwest Missouri State. And, of course, the Bearcats, another top team in Division II. They've always been, ever since the Lions have been a part of the MIAA for college basketball. But facing off against those two teams first, Missouri Western, not normally a top team in the MIAA, but how do you kind of go into a game like Missouri Western and say, okay, we don't want to play down to the level of our competition, or we need to be ready to play going into this game as if we were playing Northwest Missouri State?
Yeah, sure, and that is always the trip that concerns me, because of the Northwest, since I've been here, so the fourth year, has always been a top 10 caliber team. So the Missouri Western is their travel partner, and it's so easy to overlook Missouri Western, who's very, very above solid. First of all, there's no bad teams in the MIAA men's basketball. There's none. I mean, last year the 13th place team in February beat the second place team by 30 on the road. That doesn't happen in other leagues. You just don't have a game where you can just roll into and say, all right, if we play poorly, we're still going to win this game. Doesn't matter. So Missouri Western is a very solid team. They just had a great win against William Jewell. I watched them on tape on the bus last night, and they run some dribble drive stuff. They got a new coach. They're going to be energized. It's their first conference home game. I expect a strong punch, and they got a great returning player from last year's team. The Hightower kid is as good a player as there is in the league. So they have all the tools to win games in this league, and they will win games in this league. And then you head into Northwest, who is ranked second in the country. I don't feel that this is the Northwest, of last year at this stage. I think some of this is on reputation, but they are very good and they're very well coached, and they've got a lot of pieces, and I think they're going to figure in to the end of this race for certainly, and to have a chance to make the NCAA tournament again. But I also think the MIAA in general this year is the strength is always the parity, but I think that you're going to see 4 or 5, maybe even 6 losses win this league this year. It's just going to be one of those years where there's not a lot of separation between 1 and 8, and then not a lot of separation again between probably 9 and 14. So you're going to have those long road trips, those road games. They're going to have some upsets and some close. And whoever wins those close games, learning to win close games, learning to close them is going to be a big deal.
Well, Coach, good luck to you and your team as you guys go into your final year of the MIAA journey. As you said, it's going to be a tight one, so we're excited to see it. That's Coach Randall. Up next, we'll be joined by Coach Llewellyn of the women's gymnastics team. She's next right here on Lion Pride Sports.
See on page 4 that the projections need to be earthquake next Thursday.
Seriously? Thursday? Can't do that.
This is really inconvenient.
I have yoga that day. I have no time for this. So.
I can't do Thursday, but I can do Friday.
Disasters don't plan ahead. You can. Talk to your loved ones about how you're going to be ready in an emergency. Don't wait. Communicate.
Son, tell him that I've begun to dream of things to come, and tell the trees not to look for me. I'm going to find some peace of mind. Wake the sun. Wake the sun, wake the sun, wake the sun.
Well, Thomas, you've got prediabetes. But with more exercise and a change in diet, it can be reversed.
I've tried exercising. It just makes me hungry for bacon.
I love bacon too. And who really likes to exercise?
Not me.
Me neither.
Nobody. So we're good?
What? Oh, you still have prediabetes. Big time.
Welcome back to Lion Pride Sports. As promised, we are being joined by the Linden women's gymnastics coach, Coach Llewellyn, but we also have a special guest here with us as well. She is a senior gymnast and her name's Andavea, so we have both of them joining me at the table. Thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having us. We're very excited to be here.
Well, Coach, what I want to, well, as you know, what we really want to do here is preview the black and gold scrimmage that's coming up, but also kind of what's been going on in the works in the off season too. So it's great having a player's perspective here. I know you used to be a gymnast as well, but having somebody that's in the grind right now is always good. But for you, Coach, how has the preparation and training been going this off season to prepare you for the 2019 season?
Absolutely. Our team this year is incredible. We have 20 young women. And they left off last year a little bit fiery since we just missed that first place finish at Nationals by a small margin. So over the summertime, they worked super hard, created their internal team mottos, and they came in this year ready to go. And ever since day one of practice, they have been on fire, and they've been working so hard. And for the first time, we have the most depth that we've ever had on all events. So we're excited. They're working hard together. The chemistry is great. And I'm very excited to get them out in Thailand next week for our black and gold. And
then the events for you, Andavea, are the bars, beam, and floor, correct?
Correct.
So as of right now, you have to try to encompass all three into one, I guess, training period. So how are you able to manage all three different events? But at the same time, since training's different from all of them, how are you able to I guess not get confused with all the other things that's going on in your life?
Yeah, so I mean, it is being a student athlete, it is very hard, and doing 3 events is hard too. But I think when you're in practice, you just have to take each skill out and each event out, and they're very different from one another. So just going into one with the mindset, and you're efficient, you knock it out, you do what you need to do, and then you move on to the next one and do the same thing, and it all works out.
And then a quick follow-up to that, what is training like for the average gymnast, just in general? Like, what do you do specifically to train?
I mean, we practice quite a few days a week, and then we'll go to weights twice a week. Usually we have like a building period throughout the week, and we'll do routines on one day, we'll do halves on one day, we get really picky on one day, and then we're always getting stronger and having a recovery day.
And then, Coach, for you, as you kind of just look down the roster in your head, I know you have every girl to a T, but when you look at each event and how they are labeled to the actual gymnasts themselves, do you see that, since, for example, Andavea's here, she's got the bars, beam, and floor. Is there one that's like she's best at, do you think, or how do you see it from a coach's perspective?
Yeah, I think what's so unique about Andy is that she starts us off really strong on beam and bars, and sometimes the starting position is the most nerve-wracking or the hardest because it's the setting the tone for the rest of the lineup. And then you have her on floor, who she's been our anchor on floor for the last few years, and she also was the first ever student athlete gymnast to receive a 10-0 that was flashed at Nationals. So she has a very unique role on this team where she starts the team off strong and is also able to end the team off strong on another event as well.
So when you go into scouting a gymnast, so you have to look for all of these different attributes and accolades that come along with it. So how as a coach in gymnastics do you go and say, like, okay, this girl's technique is so much better than the next girl's?
Yeah. So what we look for is first and foremost clean gymnastics, because gymnastics is a very aesthetically pleasing sport, and it's very artistic as well as powerful. So we look for grace and power, but we also look for athletes that want to work hard, and they want to be a part of a legacy, and they want to be a part of the first. And so that's kind of been our motto the last 6 years, is building a program that is always wanting to get better each and every year. And so we want athletes that are going to come in that have dealt with adversity in their life, and they know how to overcome, and they know how to push through no matter what to reach our goals. So personality is a big one too. We want athletes that want to be here and that absolutely love not just gymnastics, but they love the campus, they love the academics, because at the end of the day, gymnastics is done once you're done with college. You can't be a professional gymnast. So it's a combination of a lot of things, but that's just a little snippet of it.
And you talked about people coming in. We just had 3 new signees basically in the past week. But a question for you, Andavea, now is when I look at the roster, you're a senior, and you basically are the leader for everybody else below you. And you've been in their shoes at one point in your time here. So having to fill that role, how do you find it to be kind of like more, not against the overwhelming side of thing? You know, when you're a freshman coming in, you're nervous. But can I relate here? Like, can I bond with my teammates? How are you able to kind of like calm the waters there for a lot of the people below you or younger than you?
Yeah, so definitely being a senior, I've been there. I've been here for a while now, and I know what it's like. And so just kind of teaching them as we go and just kind of being that leader, stepping in when they need it or giving them help if it's homework, if it's like, you know, where do I go to get this? If it's in the gym, like, oh, I'm really struggling today. Like, I've been in that position, and I know what to do and I know what's next, and I know how to kind of move on past that. So I think you kind of become a teacher, and we're teaching them now. And I think a great thing about our team is we don't have team leaders exactly. It's collective. Our juniors, our seniors, we all try to teach the freshmen, teach the sophomores, and we do it as a team. And like Jen was saying, in the recruiting, she's done such a good job with that we all get along just like a family. It's like having a little sister. You always are teaching them and loving them and just helping them grow, and that's kind of what we do, is we help them grow.
And speaking of scouting, I like doing fun questions when I interview people. So if you had to scout me, I'm a gymnast, okay? You're scouting me, like just me, like in the flesh right now. All right, my bio, okay? I'm 6 foot tall, 6 feet tall, 6 feet tall. I have the ankles of a baby bird, and my balance it really isn't that great. But I feel like I have a little bit of lower body strength. So how would you go about scouting me as a gymnast?
Okay, well, height I'm not too worried about, because we do have some tall athletes on our team, so we can adjust and we can adapt. So if your ankles are a little weak but you're tall, I think floor and vault might be your strength, but we just have to do an extra like rehab with Thomas. We can bring Thomas in. He can strengthen your ankles. Andy's actually athletic training major, so not only is she a full-time gymnast, but she's a full-time athletic training student and is killing it. So we can just work on a little bit of your ankle strength and we'll be fine.
So I'm there, I can sign?
Yeah, and she choreographs. She's been the one to choreograph our routines. So match made in heaven.
Let's get the paperwork out right now.
Yep.
Let's sign my life away.
Sign the dot.
I'll be on the Lindenwood women's gymnastics team.
Perfect.
Sound good?
Yep.
Awesome.
Sounds great.
Now we talked about choreography though, and this is another question for you that's very important, because I think it kind of relates to dance in a way, because you have to put together music, and like you have to have music for your routine. So when you do a floor routine, do you put together the music? Does coach help you put music together, or do you also compile some songs together to have different songs in there, or do you just primarily use one song?
No, it's definitely like a combination of different songs, because you don't want just like one beat the entire time. You want to keep it exciting, keep something new. So we really like to look into a lot of different styles of music and a lot of different songs as well. And then one of our teammates actually helps us do a lot of the music, but I always go to somebody else. I kind of give suggestions on, like, I think everybody has a certain style that they go with, so that's like, is the music faster, is it slower, is it like a little creepy, or is it like super happy? And I think you kind of just play off of that and then keep looking.
And you just kind of find that even medium between them all. Going into this season, though, Coach, and this is where we're going to start previewing the black and gold scrimmage. But just let's go for starters. The younger ones on your lineup. Who excites you the most?
So our sophomore class is very strong. There's 6 of them, so they bring a lot of depth to the lineups. And then we have 3 freshmen who are very young too. So because we have so much depth in our returners, I think we'll be able to help transition the freshmen in a little bit more this year, so that they'll be able to understand how college gymnastics works without being thrown out there just yet. So in our young class, we have Courtney Mitchell, who's looking to be in the all-around this year. We have Jordan, who is breaking into 3 other events as well. She was mainly on vault last year. And then we have Kendall Bays, who her Her first time really competing last year was at Nationals, and she got us a 9.9, and it was spectacular. So she's a really beautiful show performer on floor and powerful on vault. So it's hard because we don't have one standout, and everyone, like Andy was saying, it's a total family atmosphere, and everyone brings their own unique perspective, and we're going to have a lot of standout athletes this year. So it's hard to say just one. So I'm very excited for this year.
All right, now we're at the day one here. We're at black and gold scrimmage. It's that time. And correct me if I'm wrong, but don't you guys have like the coolest like run out? Like, wouldn't you guys say you have like the coolest? It doesn't like smoke come and like you guys run out of the inflatable lion head, or am I just imagining or dreaming this? Like this,
we just have smoke and fire.
Just smoke and fire. Oh goodness, that's even better than the inflatable lion head that I'm picturing in my head. But you guys, I think, have like the coolest run out as a team. I think it's something that you'd see at a professional level. But for you, Andavea, being an athlete, running out through the smoke, through the fire, in that home crowd atmosphere, like what goes through your body at that time?
Yeah, it's truly like no other. It is insane. You just kind of like, I'm not first either, so I just see them run out in front of me, and you're just kind of like preparing for the moment. You're kind of thinking, oh, I really hope I don't trip over any of the mats that are that are there on my way. But just to like see, we have such a great crowd, and so just getting to run out there and be a part of that is exciting.
And then, Coach, going into this exhibition, because it's not really your first competition, it's more of an exhibition meet, what can be expected for a fan that doesn't know a lot about gymnastics, what can they expect going to the black and gold scrimmage?
Yeah, so we're really excited about this. We haven't done it here in Highland in 2 years, and so what our goal is to have as many people as we can get out there, to be in a leotard under the lights in front of a home crowd, get all the jitters out now before January comes. So what we're going to do is we split the team up into two, and we have about equal lineups on every event. So we're going to have kind of a sparring match, and the black team and the gold team, and they're going to go head to head, and we're going to have celebrity guest judges that are going to flash who they thought did it best. So then at the end of the day, we'll decide if the black team or the gold team won. So it's going to be fun. You're going to see a lot of new faces, a lot of returners that maybe haven't been in events before, and then new choreography, and just the 2019 team. So we're very excited for it.
Are we allowed to know who these celebrity judges are?
Not yet. It's going to be a surprise.
It's a surprise.
It'll be people from Lindenwood, but
okay.
It'll be fun.
Okay, and my quick last question for you guys is, and you guys can answer this collectively, but if you could sum up this season in one word, what would the motto be?
Oh, I'll let you take it over.
I mean, we do have a motto.
Let's hear it.
It's RTS and then #earn. So we're really going in with that fire, we're going to earn everything. We're not going to be given anything, and we're really going to put on a performance this year. So.
Well, good luck to you guys and the team entirely. Thank you guys for taking some time and joining me today.
Absolutely.
It's been fun. That's Coach Llewellyn and Andavea, a senior gymnast to the team. That'll do it here for our Coaches Edition, and I guess a player profile too as well to our show. For myself, Andrew Rogers, I thank you for joining us here today on Lion Pride Sports.